Hello and welcome to the Collegium, our monthly magazine program in 3 parts: cinema, state of affairs, and our arts calendar. For our cinema portion 1, we bring you Many Hopes, No Fears with Mona Agbaje from Swaziland. For our cinema portion 2, we bring you a film from filmmakers from the United States entitled Minister Farrakhan Speaks. For our arts calendar 1, we bring you Earl Baggette, Fuasi Abdul-Khaliq with poetry and music, and a little bit from yours truly. For our State of Affairs 1, we're very pleased to speak with Mr. Baggette and Mr. Fuasi Abdul-Khaliq. We would also like to inform you that for our November live production, we will be celebrating our 10th anniversary, and the Collegium will begin at 8 o'clock, from 8 until 10. So please join us in November at 8 o'clock until 10 for our anniversary celebration. And remember, in addition to staying cool, you are participating in the Collegium.
At the third stroke, it will be 11, 58, and 10 seconds.
For example, just to give an example, it would be what Fountainhead is doing in Berlin. to raise consciousness. For example, Black Film Festival. I mean, that's new in Europe, you know, and that is for me a form of raising consciousness. I take, for example, what you are doing in Berlin as a great contribution. There are very many Black Germans who also run into identity problems living in this society. And I was amazed how many of them were at the film festival. And one asks herself, why are they there? And it's because they're interested in what is going on. They want to know who they are. They feel they belong. They do not feel that we are just swimming in between. As there was a film, I think it goes back 2 or 3 years ago, in the third program, about the problems facing the Black Germans and their identity and what goes on. Just the act of giving a platform to express ourselves, because this Black Film Festival is not just showing a whole lot of Black films, they are handpicked. A lot of them are political films. This time there's a lot of films really pertaining to women also, where Black people can express themselves. After the films we have a discussion, most of the time, lively discussion. You know, that is where you learn who you are, what you are. We exchange views. We do not feel then isolated. We do not feel, oh, I'm in the society, I have to try very hard to be this what they want. You are you. And this is one thing. In Africa, basically, I think the consciousness is there. It just needs to be channeled into the right way, in the right time. In South Africa, obviously, which I can basically really only talk for, I think in the last few years we've seen dynamic consciousness, and I think the rest of Blacks in the world can take an example. And I'm talking about our young. I'm not talking of me. I mean the young, I'm talking of 14-year-olds who have stood up and said, I am Black and I'm proud to be Black. And that is raising consciousness of Blacks the world over, because now people are saying those children are willing to die for being Black. What are we sitting back and doing? People like Andrew Young, you name them in the States, that's when they started questioning. You know, after the Martin Luther area sort of quietened down, the Pan-African thing in America quietened down, there wasn't much. But I've noticed now that with the South African thing, a lot of awareness, even in America, came about, especially in the university campuses. I was surprised at the support, and we're very proud of it, that came from Black people in America. And this is also another form. It was not done purposely. Blacks in South Africa, we've got nowhere to go but fight for our motherland, you know. And this is it. And like I said the other night, Donald, my mother always said, you might not know where you're going, but you know where you come from. And I'm born of a Zulu woman, and I'm damn proud I'm Black. You know, and that's one thing nobody can take away from me. And that's consciousness.
So then when the people address you, then whose needs is it that they are addressing?
Their needs. They want to feel this feeling of being needed. They want us to support their superiority complex. They need us to need them. Otherwise, they have no justification for their superiority complex. And that is why there's perpetuation of all the time, and that is why they even try very hard amongst the Black people, especially in the case of Africans, to keep these unseen chains in our heads, where we must continue feeling inferior, because otherwise they will have no excuse for that type of behavior. Your political awareness or what you're trying to portray can't be very deep. And you're not interested in what the person's saying. You're interested in what the person looks like or what the person is saying. And then also that person must help you because you have a psychological problem. I don't. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I do not need to justify myself to you. Either you with me because of the human race and because we are so intermingled as the world, and we are sorry sometimes, which I wish if Africa could economically cut off for a while to get themselves straightened out from the rest of the economical world, maybe it would work. And that is what I try to say to them. Say, but I'm forced to be with you people and put up with it because we are tied down in this case, and that is why. For no other reason, I am not here to justify myself. I'm here to talk to you on the same level. And if you're not willing to accept that, then we don't have a basis to discuss on. I'm not coming here as an inferior person to discuss with you, you know. You have something to learn from me, and I hope you might have something that I can learn from. I've noticed even to this damn day, when there's an anti-apartheid meeting, and we go to it like Black Women's Day, there's another Black South African girl and I. The first question, it was not what do you women try. Why are you dressed the way you are dressed? How can you afford it when you people are starving and stuff like that? Those are the questions that even to this day we get from German public. It's how I portray myself.
What is the reaction to your response?
Generally very different. People feel I'm very aggressive politically. I don't mind. That's me. Those days are gone where I wanted to be the nice little African girl, you know, and please everybody. No, I don't mind. People who know my worth will accept me for who I am, and they'll be willing to get deeper. And those are the people that I will profit from and learn from internationally, from the international community.
What is your relationship to the other African students here, Black African students in Berlin?
We have a good relationship, basically. We must remember that Africa is very large. We have a difference in culture in many instances. We have a different outlook to certain things, but basically we are one maybe on political ways of thinking, and that we do really try to achieve a certain amount of awareness for ourselves, consciousness, which we hope, if the possibility arises, also to transmit to others. And this is basically what we really would like to do. We get on a lot on things, issues like South Africa. I think that's one thing that no African argues about, no Black person in this world, you know, I must meet one yet. And we really can get into that and talk about it and the basic problems as to the role Africa is playing, world politics and the economical situation, which really dictates the political situation we are in. And everyone tries to play down and talk only on the political situation. It's the economical situation of Africa that has to be discussed, which we have to try and see as hopeful returning Africans what we can contribute to our different societies.
And what is the economic position of many of the Africans that reside in Berlin?
Right now, disastrous is maybe the only word we could really use. And as I said, it's a general problem that any so-called developing country has. We have basically all the hardware, but the know-how or the software is all in the developed countries. We are dependent on it, and we are forced to accept what they offer us for our wares, our raw materials. We have no choice because medicine, which is really a priority for Africa, we need from the Western world or even the East Bloc countries. We have to get it from them. We just have no choice to say, you know, we're not going to sell our sugar cane to you at that price, or our cocoa, or our coffee. And we have to sell it at the world market prices. Who decides the world market prices? Wall Street, you name it. It's not decided by us. And this is it. The dollar rules also in Africa. And this is what we have to deal with every day, as well as the political situation. You know, which way do you vote? Do you get help from a Western country? Depending whose side you're on in the United Nations, then you're going to get that extra aid for your country so that they might build that road that's going to bring that sugar cane or that cash crop easier to the port to be shipped out at a minimal price. And you buy back that same sugar, which is then refined here in one of the Western countries at 20 times, maybe even more. I'm not such a good economist, than what you sold your sugar for. You can hardly, people eat chocolate in Germany, like sugarcane grows here daily. And it comes from these countries, people forget where it came from. Even bananas and pineapples are getting cheaper to buy here than in our countries. No, most children in Germany don't know that bananas don't grow in Germany. They're fed that from birth because it's such a good baby food. Our people don't get these bananas anymore. They're all being shipped out. And for a minimal of price, it's getting cheaper and cheaper. I know what it was like when I first came. How much a pineapple cost here, about 8-10 marks. Now you get pineapples for 2 marks 99. But I think a real basic thing that has sustained racism is economics. Slavery came about because they needed cheap labor. Because in America the Indians were not suitable to be made into slaves. And blacks were suitable enough. That's when it started. Colonialism came about. They discovered this rich continent. Who were better workers? If you look at the infrastructure of many countries in West Africa, they were built just to take out, and racism was perpetuated. You have to tell me that I am less, so that you can carry on misusing me, misusing my intellect, my strength. It's a real deep brainwash, where you brainwash me to the extent that you can continue with this form of racism, so you can continue exploiting my resources without me fighting back. And once you are economically strong, you will find there is a lessening of racism. That is my basic feeling of the perpetuation, besides, of course, where you have the natural other problems of somebody's own white, in South Africa, for example, the Boers owns white inferiority complex because they had a lack of education. And then they try to put it onto the next group they could suppress because the British were on top of them, which is still the state today. The black man in South Africa, the white Boer still looks at him as competition. Educationally, and especially in the cities, some of the black South Africans are way above white Boers. And the white Boers cannot compare with the British in South Africa. This helps bring about a very strong form of racism, because this is something you hate, and you found that this is a good tool to use to oppress somebody else. And it's easy also, because this form of racism, of black-white, is easy to control. We are very much aware, there you are, economically it's most beautiful.
Mona, what is your relationship with the other black groups in Berlin? And could you tell us a little bit about it? And could you possibly describe also the groups?
Okay. It is different. They are very different groups, as one can well imagine. They are black Africans, they're Caribbean people coming from the Caribbean, and they're the black Americans, and they are the German blacks. The black Africans, basically, it is not too much of a problem generally relating to them, because most of the times on one-to-one, we've had basic experiences. All our countries have been colonized. Naturally, I would say I probably get on culturally better with someone who was British colonized, as Swaziland and South Africa were once British protectorates, where in comparison with someone who was from a Francophone African country. But we've all been colonized. Before that, there was enslavement. We all know the problems that face Africa, basically. The next group would be, who I relate well to, would be people from the Caribbean. They are very proud of their roots, of coming from Africa, Here I have to take the comparison to a black American. They do not look at Africa as being jungle, being in the backwoods. I've never known someone from the Caribbean asking me, can I find a place where I won't have hot water so I can really see what it's like to live in the jungle where there's no electricity, which I've gotten from black Americans. I've never found this with people from the Caribbean. I notice even things they go back to. I met somebody from the Caribbean. Even trees, wild trees, the leaves they picked from to make tea. They were proud of all these things. They were proud of what it meant to be African. When they meet an African, they embrace you, as an African, as somebody who they almost look up to, which is not because they look up to, but it makes you have a really good feeling. If you look at their poetry, it all relates to Africa. If you look at even the movement of the so-called Rastas has African roots in it. Coming to the black Americans, there is of course a difference. There are those who have been exposed more, who have traveled a little more. Naturally, those are the ones I can relate to very well. There is no problem. But the majority of blacks in Berlin, particularly from America, are in the military. And my basic feeling is, I look at it as how South Africa has tried to rule and divide the blacks within South Africa, saying you are so-called colored, Asian, and you are pure black. And the black American here in the military sort of looks at himself, hey, because even though I came as a slave, but I got honored actually to be brought here as a slave. Now I'm an American. I don't come from that bush. I don't come from those people who wear rings in their ears, who wear all these, who don't have electricity, who don't have that, who economically are so down. They forget that when they look, for example, child immortality rate in America amongst the blacks is higher than in Africa, for example. Most blacks are not even aware of this. They try very hard by being given this so-called high status to come to Berlin, to totally integrate themselves within the white society of America, which is not going to work. Because the Second World War proved that the blacks, Americans who came and fought, when they went back, they even had a harder war to fight against the whites in America. I wish personally that the black Americans could be a little bit more open and not put up barriers when they meet a black or a person of color from somewhere else and see, what does this person have to offer me? What can I offer this person? I want to learn from black Americans. I want to learn, what do they go through? I'm proud to see what they've become. When I think what slavery did to them, I'm proud when they tell me, my grandmother had to pick cotton in Mississippi for this and this. And today, I am doing night studies. I'm a sergeant in the military. I'm proud to say, wow, he is studying. And that he's even talking to me and saying, hey, what part of Africa do you come from? And he's not embarrassed to say, where is it? Can you show me? Could we talk about it? And this is it, because we have to, as blacks, join together on international basis. Because if it carries on, I tell you, to be like in South Africa, they will rule and divide us all the time, and we'll never make it. And that is what's behind it all. We are not going to make it if we carry on thinking like that, because they're not going to accept you. And it's how I look at black Americans who are in the military right now, and very few outside. Most of the ones outside have really had good relationships with, they've really come up consciousness and said, wow, this is it, this is what Africa. Sure, Africa is not America. I don't want it to be, God forbid.
Something about What are messengers raised for? Are you all right? Brothers and sisters, messengers are raised to explain, to interpret, to teach. Because there are many things of Scripture we don't understand. And when God gives us a messenger, that messenger actually is to give understanding, and understanding brings unity among the people in the end. Messengers are raised to uplift fallen humanity. Messengers are raised as warners and bearers of good news. Messengers are raised as examples of human conduct. Messengers are raised as inviters to truth by Allah's permission. Messengers are raised as a mercy to the people from the beneficent God. Do we qualify? If you believe that Allah sent prophets, messengers, and apostles to the people of the past, and you do believe that, don't you? Why do you refuse to acknowledge a man raised from among us today? Listen now. You believe that Moses came? You believe that Jesus came? You believe that Noah and Abraham and Lot came? You believe that Prophet Muhammad of Arabia came? You do believe? Yes, sir. Or do you? We need to be saved from our ignorance. Our ignorance is killing us, brothers and sisters. We need to be saved from our own self-hatred. We need to be saved from our lust to destroy one another. We need to be saved from this brutal, self-defeating, inferior psychology that white folks have put on us that makes it difficult for us to do anything of value without opposing and destroying one another. We need a Savior. And I ask you, do black people qualify for one? I appeal to God. Have we met the requirements? If I meet the requirements to go to school and you deny me, why? If I meet the requirements to buy a home in a decent neighborhood and you deny me, why? If I meet the requirements to call down from heaven its blessings and mercy and a messenger and a warner and a savior, and you, God, reject me, I ask you, why? Are you racist too? Do you know why you don't believe that God raised a messenger for you? Do you know why it's so easy for you to deny the gift of God's wisdom in a man from among yourselves? It is because you have fallen so low in your own estimation of yourself that you really don't believe that God cares. Though you shout, though you sing, though you dance, though you run up and down the aisle, deep down inside, you don't believe that God is interested in the affairs of black folk. You don't believe it. You don't believe that Almighty God could do for you what he did for those before you. Is this Black History Month? Yes, sir. Why did they give you a month? Isn't it true that they gave you a month to study up on your history? And every day of the year you're reading theirs? How can you be justified in studying your history for 1 month when time doesn't even show when you began on the planet? How can you be justified in reading white folks' history, which is a moment in time, and leaving your own history unread? And what you study for this week is not really your history. You're just studying the accomplishments of a slave who made it under the oppression of his master while he still wears the name of his master. So he's not yet making any history. This is his accomplishments in the history of white people. You agree?
Yes, sir.
All right. The FBI that's present here today, the CIA that's present here today, take this message back to your field office and to Washington. This that you see budding here in America, we have determined that this nation will never go down again. We have determined that you will have to kill us all. Men, women, and children.
That's right. That's right.
We have determined that our people are going to be free.
That's right.
We have determined, as the Bible says, he will send saviors, plural, after them. And every one of us that have a knowledge of God and a knowledge of the truth, we have a responsibility to go after our people to save them from the wrath of God that is coming down on America.
We are the skin torn from the outlawed drum, the heathen drum, stretched and broken by the barter of bodies.
Bodies thrown overboard, drowned, the spirit swallowed up, ancestors' dances soaking the pores, while our feet come with instructions for walking on the moon.
We are the speaking drums, smacking our lips off the beat, keeping our own selves time until it's time to change the tune.
We never late. We here. We the drum skin people. You can caress us. And we will speak in groans, moans, and thundertones of hip-hop metronomes from way back yonder. Gaddy dancing on the blade that divides the hither from you.
We act in the relentless now, skin drum people. We pound us into sonic sabers, and we will clear the land with an axe in our hand. In our hand. In our hand.
Well, we compose our uprisings and rising up rhythms emphasizing the ones and the threes. And we don't care what you think. All we want to know is what you feel, what you feel, what you feel.
The good dancers
Ain't never trusted the wallflowers.
Because syncopation is information.
We dance or we die.
Drum skin, feet stomping.
In the thirsty dust.
We don't care what you think.
Show us what you feel.
Oh, we are the soft, subtle drama.
Played by ear.
In the unfolding here.
Our unrehearsed lives. Ride bass, drum, bottom. Smooth. Smooth. Silk songs, skin songs, felt in full moon flash. A canticle for the middle passage. So when the drum moans, we smile and ask. Did you hear that?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. On the 5th of June, we're having a demonstration.
Yes, the 5th of June.
Yeah,
The 5th of June.
we have a demonstration.
Let's see now, how can I get out of this? There must be a way out. I got it. Fellow, that is the day of the big game comes on. And besides, that's in June. And may I remind you that I'm only black in February. Yes, please.
Excuse me, sir.
What's up, Ron? What's up, blood? You look good. How you doing?
I'm doing good, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you
Looking
very
all
much.
right. Looking all right.
Yeah, I have a question.
What's that?
Yeah, we have a meeting.
A meeting.
Yeah, this is going to be in September
About
the
what?
20th. It's about the African children.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All that malaria they got in there.
The malaria and Ebola,
Man,
exactly.
Man, that's horrible what's going on down
Yes,
there.
it is.
Man, that's
So we were
horrible.
wondering
You ain't got
maybe-
no medicine, none of that kind of stuff for them kids. I don't understand that.
We're wondering which we come up with this benefit that we want to put on.
Now, when is that? You say the
It's
3rd?
September the
September.
3rd. Yeah.
September 3rd. Oh, brother, you got to be joking, man. Ain't you heard?
Or what?
You ain't heard September 3rd? No. Man, they showing part 3 of Deep. Lost in the Deep, brother. Part 3, Lost in the Deep. I got to see that.
Lost
I ain't
in
got
the what?
Yeah, Lost in the Deep, but I ain't got no time on September the 3rd, man. You know what I'm saying? And besides, it's September, right?
Yes, sir.
Besides, man, I'm only black during February, brother. You know what I mean? That's September. I can't help it, man. I gotta watch it. Lost in the Deep. You know what I mean?
Excuse me. Once again, sorry. Excuse, sir.
Yeah, but make it quick now. I'm in a hurry.
Sir, we're having a very, very important meeting about the police brutality with African diaspora people.
Oh, good heavens!
Around the world.
I can't understand that. It makes me suspicious. If the police are doing something, they're probably correct. So maybe those people were being naughty.
Wait, are you okay?
Okay, I don't know. But anyway, let me just think about this. There must be a way out of it. Think. Did you say September the 22nd? Well, that's when the playoffs start. And I have a front row seat on my couch, which is the best place to be. And besides, remember, sir, or young man, that's in September, and I'm only black in February. February, March, April, May, June, July, September. See, that won't work. It's too much time. It's expired.
Black only in February.
Good luck, brother,
Yes.
man. Good luck, man. I'll check you out next February. Black History Month.
Yes.
Well, the rest of the year, brother, I ain't got no time, man.
Yes, I'm sorry. We have
Good
to
luck,
go.
brother. Good luck to you now.
Yeah,
Good luck to you.
Best of wishes to you. If you can, get a skin change.
Only black in February. get a skin change.
Well, welcome to our State of Affairs portion of the program, where we're very pleased to be joined by Fuasi Abdul-Khaliq and Anthony Baggette. Gentlemen, welcome back to the Collegium.
Thank you. Thank you.
We had an opportunity to listen to Mona Agbaje, and we heard Minister Farrakhan. Let me begin with you, Anthony. How does what that lady and that gentleman said impact upon our lives, and you personally and your family? Reflect upon that, and what does it mean, if anything?
Well, since I have kids, you know, it means a lot from your day-to-day life and what you try to instill upon your kids, that they are human, basically, you know, and that they have the same capacities as anybody else, and that they're human. That means they're no better and no worse, you know. And as far as the economic situation that the young lady was speaking about, we surely need to develop our own economical foundation of putting our money together and resources together and providing jobs in the community. And as far as Black History Month, I think we should take it upon ourselves to year-round to be aware of the situation that we're in and try to come up with some kind of programs or proposals or ideas to how we can better ourselves, you know, in the future. It goes back to the community and the family. When the family structure breaks down, because there is no sense of self-worth in the community, you know. So when the family breaks down, the community breaks down, and when the community breaks down, our whole infrastructure in society breaks down, because then we, as Farrakhan and lady was saying, then we start to engage in black-on-black crime, you know, because of our low self-esteem of ourselves. So if I kill you, I'm killing a little bit of myself, which I hate myself. So I'm killing you, I'm killing myself, part of it. So that's self-hatred, you know. And then the American dream of I got it, I don't care if you got yours or not, but when we were collectively oppressed, you know, we had to collectively join together, you know, and rise ourselves, you know, because we are still collectively oppressed, you know, because we have a degree or a better job doesn't take away the fact that you're still Black. You know, you walk down the street, a person doesn't care what kind of job you got. They see you, first of all, as a Black person, you know, and then your religion or your education and everything else, if they take the time to speak to you. So, and yeah.
Fuasi, living in the United States, and what impact did you find that Minister Farrakhan and the Black Muslims, and also, although there are disagreements about it, but certainly Malcolm X, what impact do you remember that had upon the community from which you sprung?
Well, the impact of Malcolm X, and of course, Mr. Farrakhan, which came as a prodigy from Malcolm X, was very important to the black community I came from. I come from the West Coast, which is a conscious community. I believe was very conscious. And Malcolm X was like a figurehead for all of us. What he spoke about, what he said, what he wrote, everybody kind of listened to very carefully and tried to emulate his examples and the direction that he had laid out for everyone. He was one of our heroes. He was one of the greatest heroes. And as Minister Farrakhan might have pointed out in his speech, that he might have been one of the messengers that have been slain, but he was definitely a messenger for us. And all the children, as I was growing up in this community, and Malcolm was he was living at the time, but also was assassinated. At this time, he was very much of an important figure for us and our children to emulate, to raise our families from, and raise our families too. Yeah, he was very important, I thought, and there's so many organizations that sprung from his examples and from his ideology, including, of course, the Organization of African American Unity, which he had started. There's other groups in the United States called the Republic of Africa, the Black Panthers, of course, and these kind of organizations and societies or institutions that we all look up toward as young teenagers and young adults coming up in my community.
What do both of you see as being the benefits from those organizations that we grew up with in the United States? What are the benefits, if any, in either of your opinions, that accrue to us today? In other words, how have those persons and those organizations benefited or helped to improve the situation of black people, not only in the United States, but internationally? Were they a source of inspiration or information? I mean,
Yeah, I think they were, and I think what happened was that there was a backlash, I think, from the white communities, of course, because you can look at that as how many assassinations there were. All these people we talk about were murdered, So as far as examples or what they did in the 60s and early 70s, and people of my generation were basically the beneficiaries of their wisdom and their knowledge that they bestowed upon us, So, and we took that, of course, and we took as far as we could take it, And then the white society, put a stop to any progress or gave us a little bit of crumbs, and that basically stopped the movement, And they give you the equal opportunity program. They send some brothers to school, or you get a small businessman loan, or you have the National Endowments for the Arts where the money was coming through for artists. Well, then you could just get another administration and they cut the funds, because of the backlash, so it's over, So instead of the community using what Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Frederick Douglass, you keep on going back, what they had taught us, to stick together, was, I think, an effort consciously made to divide the people and to conquer, because they were afraid, you understand, of us becoming a united front and fighting it as a people. So I think the next generation, we have some kind of way lost that sense of unity, not just lost it, it was aggressively attacked,
Yeah, the heads of these communities that were attacked and assassinated. But I think there were also other the grassroots organizations that continued, not very many, but there was enough to continue to keep this message rolling in the community, in the university students, and this thing was still going on underground because everything was pushed underground.
Right.
But I think it's always there, and it's always a time for it to rise up again, and I think it's a moment.
This is a time.
It's a time, yeah, now's the time.
And what contribution can we make to continuing that progressive course for our people?
Well, I think as artists, I mean, besides, you know, being a member of the community, you know, of Berlin, the overall community in your day-to-day life, of course, everything that you do is political. So, I mean, as artists, I think all we can do is hold up a mirror to people or try to maybe give some information and say it in a way that people aren't turned off. You know, sometimes you say the truth and people are turned off about it. So sometimes you got to try to find a way to say the truth without, you know, throwing cold water on people. And then some people you got to, you know, just come straight at them. So I think as artists, but all we can do is try, not all we can do, but, you know, to talk about the history, where we should be going, and what the responsibilities of a black man, for instance, are. You know, and that we aren't just, you know, in jail or drug dealers or, you know, fathers that are absent.
Or being black only in February.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say that yeah, as artists, we are accountable to uphold and to bring these teachings to the people that come to us. For instance, everybody comes to the sound of the drum, which is the old saying. As the music plays, as artists and musicians or whatever, everyone comes to us, and then we're responsible to give up and deliver some type of important message, a message of freedom, a message of economic independence. That we need to give this to them because they come to listen to us. We're on the front line. I believe that we're the front line. And if we're not responsible for the people, then who is?
Right.
Gentlemen, I look forward to having both of you with us on our 10th anniversary program on November the 20th from 8 to 10. So thank you very much for joining us on the Collegium.
Our pleasure.
And keep on stepping.
Yes, right.
And we will see you on November the 20th. So stay with us and remember you are participating in what else but the Collegium.
Thank you.